Hi everyone, and today we're going to be discussing reality transurfing, two concepts that have confused everybody, and I've been getting a lot of questions on it. So, reality transurfing is a book by, well, there's lots of books by Vladimir Zeland, and he's a Russian physicist, brilliant man. And the book is complicated. It's not like other books, it's not an easy read, and it's 707 pages long, 5 volumes condensed and 19 chapters. And it introduces concepts in a way that makes us think and assess it differently. So, two concepts in particular, we're talking about excess potential and pendulums. So, those are the two things that kind of like confuse everybody. Okay. So, the way I like to explain is by giving examples. It just makes a lot more sense. So, let's tackle excess potential. Excess potential is when you put anything on a pedestal. Okay, so for example, if you an entrepreneur and you battling to make money and you've got a plan in place, you've got everything, but you need to pay the rent, so you panicking and you're worried about paying the rent. Where are you going to stay? Where are you going to support your family, etc., etc.? Are you going to lose your house? So when that has a momentum of its own, it creates excess potential. So the worry, for example, is now on a pedestal, and it's going to cause everything else to shut down because you can't be creative, you can't do anything else in its place. So using the knowledge of reality transurfing in this case, what would you do? You'd simply then form a plan B. So your plan B or C would be to apply for a job. Do you want a job? No, you don't want a job. You want to be an entrepreneur. You want to do X, Y, Z, okay? Nothing wrong with having a job, by the way. It's just in this example. So, so you'd apply for the job anyway, even if you don't want it, and to take the edge off the panic. You know what I mean? Edge off the worry. So you know that in the back of your mind there's a backstop to pay lights and water, to pay the rent, to give your family and yourself food, etc., and to run your bills. So that's excess potential. That's applying the knowledge of excess potential. It's putting something on importance. So, in general, in life, when you put anything on importance, you're going to have something else that Vladimir Zeland terms balancing forces. So, balancing forces would come in and reduce the entire playing field to zero. So, in this example, if you're being retrenched, for example, if you put that too much on a pedestal, you most likely will be retrenched, because you are really vibrating that you're scared of being retrenched, instead of focusing your energies on a plan B and C and getting to do what you really love. Okay, so don't worry so much about balancing forces. Just know that do a plan B for excess potential. Don't put too much of something on a pedestal. Okay. Be playful and free with it, and then let it go, and go about your day. Then, now we're talking about pendulums. Pendulums are group energies. So try to think of them. They call different things in different new thought movements, and it's also an ancient knowledge that's been passed down, but pendulums are really group energies, what the New Agers used to call group energies, for example. So anything that vibrates with more than one person or thing or event, and it starts gaining a life of its own, kind of like an AI that's out of control. So an AI is fantastic, but when it gets out of control, it's destructive. So an energy like that duplicates and multiplies and exponentially increases and expands, because all of us are feeding into it, like the energy of war. It's a massive pendulum. The banking system is a massive pendulum, to give you an example. Okay. So pendulums can get very destructive when they're out of control, and they feed off lower energies. So they feed off your fear and your worry and your panic and anxiety and your sense of being a failure and not having made it, useless, worthless, poor, etc., etc. So it feeds off those mechanisms, right? And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So the pendulum is a massive entity. So in this example, I'd like to stick with the corporation and work example. So if you're working for a corporate, the corporate environment is a massive pendulum. The corporate environment thrives on office politics. I'm talking about the traditional corporate environments, not those corporates that are doing something different, right? But the traditional ones feed off long hours, dissatisfied employees, not being transparent about their salary system, departments fighting against each other, divisions, office politics, gossip, the management versus the staff, HR, etc. So it feeds off that. So if you have the knowledge of transurfing and pendulums and access potential, how would you handle that? So what you would do then is you'd become a team player, okay? Instead of being someone that's always a problem child in the office, picking up your hand, asking the difficult questions, getting noticed energetically in the pendulum, who will then eat you up and spit you out. You'll get noticed for the wrong reasons in the pendulum. So basically, if you're playing in the corporate environment, you're kind of like, you're in the game, play within the rules kind of thing. Do your visualizations, fly under the radar to get what you want and advance in corporate, instead of playing to the pendulum and running to the unions, being a problem child, being difficult, picking up your hand on behalf of the others in the department, etc. So that's how you would apply that pendulum knowledge, Although I have to say, a lot of people give credit to pendulum where it's not the pendulum. So for example, and I'll do another video of this, I got a question from someone who said, I don't know how to manage the dynamic of my relationships. I'm always chasing after men that lie to me, etc. And I don't know how to release from this pendulum, and it's very hurtful, and I'm always chasing the wrong thing. And I'll do another video on this, but just a quick heads up, that's not a pendulum. That's it's all her self-work, shadow work that she has to do. It's not a pendulum, okay? So that's just a quick one on pendulums, a little bit on balancing forces and excess potential. Good luck. And if you want to read the book, my final advice on this whole thing is, which I said, which really made sense to my clients, was when you do reality transurfing, there's a lot of groups that put reality transurfing that have made it a pendulum and have put it up on, have made it into a dogmatic religion with a lot of rules, and this is the interpretation on those groups. When you join those groups, they're very hard and very bullish in their attitude, like, you got to follow our interpretation of that. Don't ignore them, ignore what they're saying. Just take it, apply it, and then let it go. I applied with the rest of the concepts from Joseph Murphy, Napoleon Hill, Neville Goddard, on and on and on, all the greats, Lao Tzu, etc. I've done so much reading, and I just find that all the concepts settle into my neural track and my being, and they find a way to catch my attention and guide me. So it's not one versus the other. All this knowledge kind of like blends in when you're in flow, and they come together, in a perfect way that's right for you. So don't be worried and think that, sorry, just on another note of excess potential, don't be worried that you mustn't care about something. A lot of people have said, I'm dealing with excess potential, and it just feels like now I shouldn't be caring about anything, because if I care about anything, it becomes, I'm putting it on a pedestal and I shouldn't. And no, that's not true at all. It doesn't mean that. It's just a tool and a trick to manage the energies that are playing in this great playground that we're living in, And don't take reality transurfing too seriously, just like anything else. Be playful with it and be free. And then just apply what you feel works for you out of all of it, It's very, very prescriptive. But Vladimir is very, very clear that just take what works and leave the rest behind, okay? Okay, take care. Hope this helps to explain those concepts. And don't forget to join the private group, and you'll get way more. Okay, take care. Bye.